Alright, we should be live. Okay, it looks to be that we are live.
Yes, we are live currently. Busy ass PlayStation. Tweet. Screenshot. And my shit is good. Alright. Plague bitch. Alright. Got shit open. Let me put the chat on my iPad instead. That'll be better. Alright. I'm good.
I just gotta add everything on the computer, and then we're good.
Alright, cool. Oh, shit.
Okay.
Are you okay? Chat too?
Um,
Because we got two people, so.
oh really? Oh, what's up, guys? We were just setting everything up, the thumbnail and shit. So we'll just be 1 second. I'm putting it on here now. So just bear with
Yeah,
us
it's
for
all
a couple
good, man.
more seconds.
Just whatever you guys do, don't think about Raw or fall asleep instantly. Think about Takeover. Now that'll keep you up.
Okay. All right. Pull the chat up here. Okay. What is up, guys? We're back with. Okay. My laptop's not muted. Okay. Okay, what's up, guys? We're back with episode 10, part 1 of the Notorious podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it is I, Johnny Mayhem, if you have not watched it before, with the man, the myth, the legend, Sir K. How are you today?
I'm doing really good, bro. I'm just chilling, man. Just excited for the show, really, man. How was your day?
It was good. It was good, man. I just hung out with the lady.
Nice,
And
nice.
yeah, so it was a good day. Now we're here doing the what ifs. We're back with the what ifs. If you guys don't know, we have two parts: theme show and the news show, and we are on the week of the what ifs, man. And this week I'm very excited for because we have two very interesting topics and two topics where things really could have changed the course of history had some of these things never happened, man. On this episode, man, we have what if Enzo and Cass never broke up, obviously. For the people that have followed their careers, you would know that literally right after they broke up, both of their lives just went downhill, and it was actually very sad to see,
Mm-hmm.
um, especially being fans of them for sure. And yeah, so definitely a very interesting topic there. And then we also got what if the 2016 WWE draft never happened? The 2016 draft, man, made so many opportunities for a lot of people, mainly on SmackDown, but so many opportunities for a lot of people. And what would things be like if that never happened? It's very interesting to think about, man. And we're gonna tell you what we think. So, without further ado, I guess we could get it kicked off with the Enzo and Cass. You want to kick us off, bro?
Alright, bro, I got you. I got you. Here. Alright, let me start this off. So, it starts right after WrestleMania 33. As we all know what happened, Hardy Boys came back. They won the title, sadly. You know, all that happened, man. So, picks up one of the pay-per-views. I don't know if it's pay-per-view, the pay-per-view after. Maybe I'm pretty sure it was. I might have. It was still the era of brand exclusive pay-per-view. So yeah, this was definitely at least the Raw
Yeah,
pay-per-view after Mania. So at Extreme Rules, just an extra fact for you guys, the Bar would end up winning the 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 fucking the Raw Tag Team titles, man. So yeah, I think that's around the time they won it in real life. I remember they won it after them, so I think it's around the same time. But So, and then the Bar start a feud with Enzo and Cass for the summer. Bar are talking about how they're not legit. They're not a threat. They don't take this seriously enough. All that type of shit. And Enzo and Cass are saying they'll prove that they can win, and they're not just a comedy act. So they're like, they're really pushing that we're just not these two idiots that run their mouths. We can wrestle. So they say they've been floating around this roster, and now it's their time to prove that they can be the best tag team in this division. So that feud builds to SummerSlam. We're at SummerSlam in a surprisingly competitive match for Enzo and Cass. They end up beating the Bar for those Raw Tag Team titles in a very shock victory. Now, after that, they say, in their Raw after speech and whatnot in the following weeks, that this is what was in them the whole time. They always had this in them. They weren't always just talk and whatnot. They just knew that they could do it, and this was the fact. This was them just being proven right. So, of course, Bar want rematches. This is before they ban rematches, but didn't, actually ban them. But this is for all that, so rematch are a thing. So, at No Mercy, it is a rematch where Enzo and Cass retain again in that match at No Mercy. So, after that, the Bar is done with those titles. They lost the rematch. They move on. So, the next feud starts with them and the Hardy Boys because they want their titles back, you know. And the Hardys basically want to see if Enzo and Cass, what everyone thinks and still kind of thinks are these comedy, not so serious, non legit guys, can beat two veterans and legends such as the Hardy Boys. So, hold on. Gotta turn the page. So, their feud begins, and Enzo and Cass are saying that, they respect the Hardys and whatnot, but they're going to prove that they can beat even them. You know, they could just be as extreme as them, and that builds to the last pay per view. Wait. Is that the last pay per view of the year? TLC?
Yeah.
Or okay, yeah.
Well, with the brand exclusive, yeah, I think SmackDown always went first in the month. I'm pretty sure. Or
hmm
no,
I think in
wait.
that year TLC was on a weird month, so I think it's actually before SummerSlam or
Oh,
before
the
Survivor Series.
2017 was the year that TLC was in October.
Yeah, it was right before. Okay, yeah, I was right. I was right.
So weird.
I booked it right. Swear. So at TLC, they announced it'll be a TLC tag match. Hardys, they're known for their extreme matches, even though they're old at this point, but still, they're known for the extreme matches. So Enzo and Cass see if they can beat them at their own game. So it builds up to the TLC match. And in the TLC match, Enzo and Cass win and retain yet again in a genuinely fun match, but it's around the time in real life that Jeff really got injured, so I'm gonna keep that and say Jeff did get injured in this match. So, that just building that up. It leads to Survivor Series, where it is the Usos, who were the champs at the time, versus Enzo and Cass, title versus title. And in a fluke victory, somehow they got very lucky. Enzo and Cass beat the Usos. So after that, they move on after Survivor Series, and Enzo and Cass start a feud with the club. Or not the club, just Gallows and Anderson. For short purposes, I wrote it down as the club. So the club, wants, of course, the tag team championships, and say that Enzo and Cass, Enzo and Cass are lucky idiots, and that they got no true skill. They're not skilled in the ring. They're not. Cass only strong. All that stuff. Everyone else tells them, and then they'll win the titles. Yeah, Enzo and Cass saying shit back, retaliating, saying at this point they proved themselves, and they don't have to prove it to Gallows and Anderson, but they will anyway. That match builds to the Royal Rumble first, pay per view after SummerSlam, because that's pay-per-view schedule was all fucked up. But at Royal Rumble, in another kind of fluke and lucky victory, Enzo and Cass retain their Raw Tag Team titles. And after the match, they go, Enzo grabs a mic and he starts saying that, they're the best, they're on this hot streak and whatnot, and no one can beat them, and that. And then in the middle of them saying that, it is the Revival's theme music hits. Now, at this time, if you guys remember, Revival would be coming back from injury around this time. They came back earlier than this in real life, but I longevigated it to the Royal Rumble for that big pop, because that was when the Revival were actually still hot. So, Revival come out, and all they say is, yeah, as a response to Enzo's words, is, you'll see soon enough. So their feud starts to build, and Revival, they're doing their Revival shit, proving it's the Revival in this instance are kind of like how they are now in real life, how they're like proving that real tag team wrestling is, no flips, just fist, shit like that. To them, legit old school wrestling. So that's what they're preaching, but they also say and how they're not just going to walk up to someone and demand a title match, they're willing to earn it. So they say that, that at Fastlane, they're willing to have a number one contenders match for those Raw tag team titles. Yep. So they want that, the contenders match at Fastlane, and it is versus The Bar, just another tag team on that show. And in, of course, the legit fashion, Revival win. And that match is announced for Mania. That feud builds. That's all about the Revival saying the same thing that kind of everyone else was saying, but really, really laying into it on them because they are the Revival, the most legit tag team that WWE has really ever seen. So, they're going hard with that shit, proving themselves in matches, showing to them how you're really supposed to show those championships. But builds the match at Mania, where this is Mania 34, technically, by the way. At Mania 34, it is the Revival versus Enzo and Cass for those tag team titles, and the Revival end up beating Enzo and Cass clean for those titles at Mania. So, after Mania, of course, it is Superstar Shakeup, and Enzo and Cass get sent to SmackDown. For that whole summer after WrestleMania, Enzo and Cass are just doing just terrible. They're just losing matches left and right. They're down in the dumps. They're starting to have fighting with each other, shit like that. It's just a terrible situation, and it gets so bad, building up to close to SummerSlam. They're losing so much and whatnot that they say that they just want one last chance to prove themselves that they can, get back up, So they asked for a match at SummerSlam. And, I think it was just the commissioners at that time, so you would say just Shane just announced that they got a match on the SummerSlam pre-show versus the New Day. And on the episode of SmackDown before the show, they asked if it could be on the main show, on the main card, because they want this last chance to prove themselves that they can be back, they can start winning again, all that shit. So at SummerSlam, in a shock, sudden, and legit victory, they beat the New Day. They start to win matches after that, slowly and surely. They start going back up on the climb of just getting back up there, and they want a number one contenders match at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. They get to Hell in a Cell. It's them versus Gable and Benjamin, because that was a tag team at the time. Can't believe that was a tag team at the time, but it was. And built to them versus them, not in Hell in a Cell, but just at the pay-per-view, because they like to have gimmick match pay-per-view names. But at Hell in a Cell, Enzo and Cass beat Gable and Benjamin, earning a number one title. A title shot for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. By the way, Bludgeon Brothers are the current champs. They were at the time. They still are in this storyline. So after that, you know, Survivor Series happened, so they don't really do much around Survivor Series time. It's just them, proving themselves a little more, still winning matches, a little more matches than usual, because everyone's busy with Survivor Series at the time. So they might even go and do shit on Raw to fuck with them and get a little revenge on like Revival for shit, shit like that, man. Oh, you know what? This improv. I just thought of this. At Survivor, building up Survivor Series, they fuck over the Revival, which somehow in turn it caused them to lose their match at Survivor Series as a little revenge. I think that was I just improv that. Fuck it. That could be cool. So, of course, Blood Brothers, like I said, are still the champs. And they, you know, they aren't so wait, hold on. I just skipped the fact that their feud starts to happen after Survivor Series. So that starts to happen. And the Bludgeon Brothers, they're two big guys, so they weren't intimidated at all about when Enzo and Cass were saying. They weren't scared, none of that. So the pay-per-view after Survivor Series for them was TLC. So Enzo and Cass asked for that match to be a TLC match, since clearly their history with TLC matches could be a positive. So, Shane agrees, whoever agrees, and the match is billed as a TLC match. Sorry. Oh god, sorry. So, at TLC, Enzo and Cass come close to winning the tag team titles, but Cass gets a quote-unquote injury. They're gonna play it up real legit. That's how I always perceive fake injuries to be the best, and it causes them to lose the match, to lose the TLC match. Enzo says that, they'll be back, they'll be better than ever, they'll be stronger, they'll be fucking, yes, more up. They'll be back and better than they ever have, you know. So life moves on without them. At Royal Rumble, Bludgeon Brothers, Bar, and New Day in a match, and the Bar ends up pinning the New Day and winning the tag team titles. On SmackDown the next night, they start to brag and say that they're gonna be the best champs in generic heel tag team shit, and no one can stop them. Feud between them and the New Day happened because wait, no, they bar pinned Bludgeon Brothers. Never mind. So after that, they start a feud with the New Day because the New Day didn't get pinned, so they didn't technically lose the match. Classic WWE logic. That happens. And the Bar beat the New Day at the Chamber, at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. After the match, they go to celebrate, but a returning Enzo and Cass attack them. Now this attack is very similar to their real life attack at that ROH show. I forgot which ROH show it was. Was it All In? No, it wasn't All In. Wasn't it like Super Card of Honor or something?
The show that they took over, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was G1 Supercard.
Yeah. Similar to the way they attacked them like that. So, hold on. Yeah, flip the page. So yeah, they attacked the Bar like how they did before, just returning, basically saying we're back. So they say they want a rematch for those tag team titles since they never lost them. But they also say that they're willing to do something different. They believe that they already earned a title shot, but they'll earn it again. They'll take a match at Fast, and they will take a number one contenders match at Fastlane for a title shot. So at Fastlane, they they beat Bludgeon Brothers surprisingly in a shockingly legit victory. Of course, it would be Cass that would be doing the pinning, but they beat Bludgeon Brothers in a somehow legit victory. Shocking, no shit. What the fuck, shit like that. They get the match. It is announced and built towards WrestleMania 35. Bar recounts their history back on Raw a year ago, saying it won't say their mistakes won't happen again, shit like that. And finally, man, it just leads to WrestleMania where Enzo and Cass beat the Bar clean for those titles and have finally their WrestleMania celebration with those tag team titles. And that's where my what if booking, or not, yeah, my what if scenario for if Enzo and Cass never broke up. Now, after this, they could probably go on to, still look legit, probably lose them around SummerSlam time, maybe. So, whatever history happens, happens after that, man. But, yeah, that's my version of this what if. So yeah, and that was it, bro.
Yeah, man, very good, very good. I like the long culmination to it all. Long-term booking. Gotta love long-term booking. Yeah, man, for sure. Yeah, so, to start mine off, man, if you guys do not know what happened to Enzo and Cass, I mean, most of you do, but just a brief rundown, it's actually very quick. Literally, as soon as these guys broke up, it was Enzo moved to the cruiserweight division for a couple months before he got charged with rape, which, well, he didn't, he got accused, I mean, of rape and, or sexual assault or something. And, they just fired him. They literally just fired him, stripped him of the championship. And as for Cass, well, he would come back after WrestleMania, and, he suffers from, mental illness and, self-medicating, and that, according to him, literally just took him over, and he just acted a fool, and, acted a fool, but dangerously, to the point where people were, I guess, like, kind of scared of him. I guess he thought somebody locked a door on a bus, but somebody was actually in the bathroom or something like that, and he, like, ripped the door off on the bus, and that Cass ended up just having a bad way out, man, and that's as quick as the story goes, man. It's incredibly sad, but my booking will lead up to WrestleMania 34, starting after WrestleMania 33, so let's get it started. I only booked up to the culmination of it all. Enzo and Cass, they go through the summer trying to figure out who attacked them. Obviously, this is the storyline that broke them up that summer, but I'm going to tweak it a little bit and say that Enzo and Cass were both attacked, and not just Enzo, I think? Yeah, not just Enzo. And, yeah, first off, man, if you were going to save Enzo and Cass's big culmination up for WrestleMania 33, just to have the Hardys come back and take them away, and then the Hardy Boys lost them fairly quickly, I believe. I think they lost them at Extreme Rules. I think they only held the belts for 2 months. It just didn't make any sense. But that's a different story for a different day. Well, not really, but yeah, that stupid decision. Just flat out, there was no point in building them up. We'll get to that afterwards, man. But these guys go through the whole summer trying to figure out who attacked them. Now, keep in mind, as far as the tag titles, it is going to be booked the same. So the Bar is going to eventually win that feud against the Hardy Boys. And Enzo and Cass, go through the summer without answers. Pretty much just kind of floating around. I mean, there's not really nothing much they can do because we got to push the Hardy Boys because they just came back, and the Bar lost the titles, so this is at the time where they were due a rematch, so it only is right. So there's not really anything for these guys to do, but we want to somewhat keep them relevant with this attacker storyline, just to keep some kind of intrigue because there is going to be some kind of reveal. Now, building up to SummerSlam, it is revealed to be the Bar that attacked Enzo and Cass, and the reasoning is because the Bar feel that these guys had all the hype going into Mania, and they just squandered it and let the Hardy Boys win the championships, and that makes the Bar feel like that they are complete and utter jokes to the tag team division, and that's why they attack them. Because here you have two guys that WWE, and not really Sheamus, but Cesaro especially, that WWE has brushed off, and they see these two guys that are hotter than hell come in, and they're doing a great job, and they're getting built up, and they just rub the Bar the wrong way, which they in real life, a lot of people actually did not like them. They actually, so we're kind of playing up to real life here now. Enzo and Cass challenged the Bar at SummerSlam. Now, obviously, most of you guys, well, I'm pretty sure everybody knows that Enzo and Cass are from New York, and SummerSlam is held in the Barclays Center. So this seems to be the culmination of it all, man. And in the Barclays Center, Enzo and Cass challenge for the Raw Tag Team Championships, and they come inches away to the point where the crowd, I don't know if I could say Johnny Gargano levels at Takeover Philly, but they're to a level where the crowd is really hot. They really believe that they're about to win these championships, but the Bar is just too much for Enzo and Cass to handle. I guess Enzo and Cass let the hype get to them, and it ultimately cost them the championships. These guys sit in the ring for a long time. Not really a long time, but they sit in the ring and have that emotional moment with the crowd giving them a standing ovation, because if you watch NXT, man, a lot of people like to say Enzo and Cass are bad wrestlers, more Enzo, but if you watch NXT, if these guys are put with the right team, they, I mean, it doesn't make them better wrestlers, but their match quality is so much better when they're put with a really good tag team. And the Bar was one of those teams that, I mean, it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way that Cesaro and Sheamus just got thrusted into a tag team, but at the same time,
They're really good as a tag team.
but at the same time, exactly, man, they were very good. They're very good as a tag team, and they are just two great wrestlers that they put together as a tag team, and it didn't make sense at first, but it eventually did. But anyway, yeah, the Bar defeat Enzo and Cass. Obviously, they have the emotional moment, with the crowd, and uh, I want to make a point of Cass. Not literally, but figuratively, picking Enzo up when he's down, and just really playing into the fact that these guys are going to be one of those teams that don't break up. And that's
Mhm.
dead ass, because A, they can't. They just can't. Obviously, we all know how that turned out, but Big Cass on its own, I mean, he had potential.
Mhm.
He really did. He really did have potential. I thought, at least Enzo was okay, but I think with him being on 205 Live, they just thought of him as a joke, and they thought of Enzo as a joke. Therefore, they thought of the whole division as a joke, and it wasn't long before, oh my god, I forget what he called his group, the
Oh my
Zo
god.
Train,
Oh my god, yeah.
and they had like Gulak. These motherfuckers are dressing up as elves, and it just no, it's just no. Enzo is not meant to be a single star. He is meant to have a big heater like Cass. That's literally the perfect role for him. Enzo talks the shit, Cass beats him up, and Enzo finishes him off. That's perfect. That can work as a heel, especially, because that's heel
Mhm.
as fuck. But Enzo's so goddamn charismatic, it can also work as a babyface. And Enzo's overness rubbed off on Cass. It was the perfect pairing. The perfect pairing. And next night on Raw, they question, um, um, oh, I apologize. The next night on Raw, they not the next night on Raw, but going forward, they enter a mini feud with the Revival, and they end up losing that feud. Just a kind of mini feud, number one contender, but not officially. You know what I mean? Like when it's this is basically going to be the summer of the Revival rising through the ranks, and this is going to be their last stop before they make it to the tag team championships as a mini feud with Enzo and Cass. Even though they just lost, Enzo and Cass and the Revival is always going to be great stuff. Like I said, if you've ever watched any of their work in NXT, it's fantastic. So this is basically also the storyline, not really storyline, but the Revival, just kind of the rise, just kind of watching their rise, and this is going to be the last stop before they do make it to the tag team championships. They end up losing that feud, and what the fuck? And they begin to question themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these guys begin to question themselves, and they declare that they need to go away and they need to not be on Monday Night Raw, not only because the show is fucking horrible, but because they need to find themselves. They need to find themselves again. So Enzo and Cass declare that you will see them very soon, just not on this show. Enzo and Cass, I'd give it about 2-3 weeks. They show up at Full Sail University, man, where it all started. They go back to NXT, and they declare that they are back there to regain traction, and they want to go back to where it all started, because a lot of the teams that they were with in NXT, they see on the main roster passing them up, and they want to come back, like the Revival, and they want to come back to where it all started. Now, these guys, at the time, 2017, AOP, believe, yeah, right, yeah, AOP, Sanity, and Undisputed Era. We are not going to have Enzo and Cass touch those guys at all, because we're trying to build Enzo and Cass up, and we're not going to build Enzo and Cass up at the expense of NXT's hottest tag team. So O'Reilly and Fish are the Undisputed Era. Sanity and AOP at the time were the top tag teams, and we're not going to have them. We're not going to have them get in their way at all, even though it would be complete dream matches. We're not going to build people up we're not going to build Enzo and Cass up at the expense of NXT, because that is exactly what we all hate. That is Charlotte Flair coming and defeating NXT talent. We hate it. So we're not going to do it with Enzo and Cass here. However, there's a ton of teams that they can. Now, these guys could put on great matches over the course of the rest of 2017. So, 2017. So, pretty much we're looking at about the end of September, all the way till about the end of the Royal Rumble. These guys can be NXT part-time, not really part-time, but just kind of temporary. That's the right word. Temporary NXT. But make them feel a part of the show and make it feel like they give a fuck to be there. Which they can, because Full Sail crowd loves them. And you know what I mean? And don't have it be, I hate to bring her up again, man, but don't have her be like Charlotte, to where she's just there for a month and she just beats people and ends up losing at a takeover. No, man, we're gonna make these guys feel a part of NXT, which I know they can do. Obviously, there's the Street Profits, Heavy Machinery, 1-2, the Forgotten Sons when they were in the very beginning of their run, I believe. There's Sabatelli and Moss, and also TM61 were down there. So we got a lot of tag teams down there, a lot different to what we see nowadays, but we got a lot of tag team depth in NXT, and these guys are winning left and right. They're winning. They're regaining traction. They're over as fuck with the main roster audience again, or the people that the hardcores that fell out of favor with them because they were just basically losers on the main roster.
Yeah.
So these guys are going to regain huge traction. And around the end of January, man, middle of February, these guys say thank you to NXT, and they also say they know what is next for them, and it's something that has to It has to take place, and they thank the talent. They thank the talent that, and they thank William Regal for giving them a chance to come back and prove themselves again, not only to the fans but to themselves. Now, scratch that. Probably about the middle of January or right after the Royal Rumble. So these guys, yeah, probably right after the Royal Rumble. These guys are back in the main roster picture, and they come back. They come back to Raw with none other than Dash and Dawson, the Revival, as the Raw Tag Team Champions, and these were the last guys to beat them before they started to doubt themselves. However, they came back to Raw not wanting anything specifically because they wanted to prove themselves to Raw's top tag teams at the time. These guys go on a string, defeating Gallows and Anderson, um, the Hardy Boys, and the Bar. Now, the Bar is going to be the first team that the bar, I mean, no, the last team. The last team they took out, or the last team they beat, I mean, because that is obviously the people that absolutely broke their hearts in their hometown. And yeah, and so that's going to be the build to Mania, with basically we mentioned the Revival's last stop to the Bar was Enzo and Cass. Now, it seems as if the tables have turned, and now we're watching the rise of Enzo and Cass. Um, and the Bar was their last stop to the Revival. And with a month and a half before WrestleMania, Enzo and Cass, Enzo and Cass come out. Enzo and Cass come out to challenge the Revival at WrestleMania, and they say they have stopped them from winning. They have stopped them in the past. They stopped them with winning the NXT Tag Team Championships. They made them at the lowest point of their careers. And also, keep in mind, I still am making, anytime these guys do lose, Cass Cass and Enzo picking each other up, similar to what we see kind of with the Elite now, or what they kind of try to play on, is like just the brotherhood aspect
Mm-hmm.
of that they're never going to turn on each other. And yeah, so that is one of the main things I want to play up on, because this is going to be a team that I don't think should ever really break up. You know what I mean? Just they're so perfect for each other. Um, and and they say they made them to the lowest point of their career, and now Enzo and Cass are back to to challenge the Revival for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Enzo and Cass versus the Revival is set for WrestleMania 34. Now, this is a this is a moment similar to Sir K's, man. You have to save this kind of thing for WrestleMania. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? You can't, because these guys are so over. It's just so meant for the big pop aspect of it. And it's also meant for the satisfaction of 80,000 people chanting Enzo's shtick. It's just visually, pleasing. It's cool to hear, man. And yeah, man. And, Enzo and Cass. Enzo and Cass put on a great match with the Revival at WrestleMania 34, as we know that they can. And and what do you know, man? Dash and Dawson, finally are dethroned, and they get, and New Orleans. Um, I will admit, I liked Sir K's a little better, only because the pop in their hometown.
Of Mania in New
That
York. That.
that's so dope. But we're gonna do it in New Orleans, man, and
Man.
we're giving them the huge pop, because I mean, New York would be crazy. New York would be a
Mm-hmm.
pop in itself, but these guys are gonna get pop anywhere they go, man.
Oh,
These guys win the tag team championships to a huge, one of the best feel good moments. Obviously, the culmination of their failure last year, though their failures through the year of 2017, and these guys just regaining traction, I think, is a wonderful story to tell of just two guys that are always questioned. Is
Mhm.
Enzo good enough? Do these guys take this serious enough? Shit like that, man, is shit that's genuinely surrounded with these guys for many years. These guys were always, can these guys do it by themselves? Do they need each other? Um, just sir spent so much behind Enzo and Cass, and I think this huge feel good moment at WrestleMania is exactly what these guys' careers were meant for, man.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what I got. That is the reboot of Enzo and Cass of these guys just regaining credibility, pretty much. So yeah,
Mhm.
so on for the questions. I'll read off the ones I got, and if you got any more that are that you think are interesting, man, let us know.
Mhm.
Obviously, Scott, we got to bring this one up, man. Would they both have gotten fired if they would have just stayed together? Would Enzo and Cass be still employed to this day? What do you think?
They st I think with Cass, I would think definitely because I mean I think Carmella probably still would have left him because I think their relationship apparently was just not working anymore. But I don't think it would have emotionally affected him as bad if he had a genuine best friend like Enzo backstage along with him to help him. So I don't know about I wouldn't think Big Cass, and I would hope not with Enzo because I mean, the allegations were allegations, but like we clearly seen in real life, they just instantly went for the fire. But if they're doing good, and if like they're both them backing Enzo up, so I think maybe they would not fire Enzo before, they would at least probably maybe take them off TV if to like investigate. But I wouldn't think Enzo would get fired instantly if he had someone like Cass to vouch for him backstage. So I probably not, maybe, but I wouldn't think so. I think the two of them, even backstage, are just friends, the power of friendship, you could say. I think that would actually help them a lot and not, you know, not getting fired. Just people looking at them in better light, you could say. So probably not. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit it right on the head with Cass. I genuinely believe if Cass would have had if Cass would have had a best friend, not only through his struggle with Carmella and obviously those two, that's just not working out. I'm sure that affected him a great deal. Also, you know, just his struggles in general, and I also think giving him a singles run wouldn't have put so much pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, and I'm sure it did. I'm sure it put a lot of pressure on him. And yeah, Cass, I think he needed Enzo. I think he really did, and I think
Mm-hmm.
when you look at their friendship, it's it's something we can all ask for in a friendship, man. Obviously, these two fell out, man. But as soon as Cass had those seizures, Enzo was the first one bedside
Mm-hmm.
checking on him. You may fight with your brother sometimes, man, but you always love him to death. I know that's something
Exactly.
me and you have, not to be corny or anything, but me and you are kind of like Dash and Dawson. You know those guys have never had an argument.
Oh yeah, I remember they were talking about they just sort shit out just apparently all the time. It's nuts.
It's
It's nuts.
it's crazy, but yeah, yeah, but yeah, yeah, like I said, man. Sometimes you fight with your brothers, but man, when something like that happens, it's just so awesome to see Enzo do something like that. For he loves Cass, you know what I mean, and I think those
Exactly.
guys needed each other for sure. But as far as Enzo, allegations are allegations, but let me tell you, man,
Exactly.
Roman had steroid allegations, and they didn't do a fucking thing with him. Now, I know Roman's not Enzo, but I think a tag team that over, I think they would have maybe slowed down a push, but
Mm-hmm.
Enzo was to the point where he was the cruiserweight champion. Nobody liked him. Apparently, Triple H always hated him. So, had these guys been so over and so good, Triple H has the mindset of not only best for business, but what's best for the audience. And I don't think they would have went right for the fire. If anything, I think they would have. If anything, I think that they would have just slowed it down, just slowed
Mm-hmm.
down and made sure. Basically, what they did with Velveteen Dream. Probably that. Probably exactly that.
Most definitely.
Because uh, to just go out and release somebody that's that over, I don't think that Vince McMahon has it in him. I
No.
really don't. And yeah, I don't think that he would have. I don't think that he would have. I now. Yes, yes. Bold answer, yes. I think that they would both still be employed to this day, had they never broke up. Um, so, what was your answer again? You said yeah, right?
Yeah, I said I think they would not have been fired if they weren't broken up.
Right, man. Right. I agree. I agree for sure. Um, next one. This is an interesting one. With the way, so we booked it to perfection, but WWE, we all know them and perfection don't necessarily belong in the same sentence. Now, do you think that they would have ever won the tag team championships? Because there was a lot of times they were supposed to. It's a lot.
Mhm.
What do you think?
I think maybe one day. I think it would probably end up being pretty anticlimactic, just because that's just natural how WWE ends up booking shit like that. But I feel like they would eventually just be like, ah, fuck it, we ain't got no one else. Just give it to the guys. Fans been nagging us forever, so just give it. I feel like it would be like one of those. I don't think it would be like one of those like turn Roman heel where they just never want to do it ever, actively oppose it because I think he was just one of those people where every time Enzo and Cass got close to winning it, something else happened. Like Hardy's came back, shit like that, man. So I think they would have probably eventually got to it, whether it was like booking wise anticlimactic or not. But I would think, because I know like we all know that Triple H was vouched for them, even though he disliked Enzo, he vouched for them. So I think he would eventually convince Vince to give him the title. But I think Vince might end up. I feel like they could be one of those people where Vince just randomly gets high on.
Hmm.
I just feel like it could be just for you'll just randomly see in like February just reports just Vince McMahon is reportedly high on Enzo and Cass. I feel like they could be one of those teams so I feel they would eventually end up winning somehow through backstage, not politics, but just actions, they would end up winning, either because no one else is there to do anything, or just because Papa Mark can eventually just convince Vince McMahon to just go with it. And they were really good at merch sales. So if they upped their merchandising up, I feel like Vince would have vouched for them a little bit more. But yeah, man, I think probably even if it's anticlimactic, I think eventually they would at least get a reign in. What do you think?
Man, do I think they ever would have been tag team champions? Uh, yes,
Hmm.
but I think that they would have been one of those teams where it's like, oh shit, the Hardys are injured. Who can we
Hmm.
put in this spot? Enzo and Cass, they're over. But as far as them making actual plans, you hit it right on the head. These guys, something always came up.
Hmm.
Whether it's them miraculously wanting to split them up for no reason, whether it's the Hardys coming back, whether it's now they're high on the bar,
Hmm.
uh, whether it's any of that, some shit always happened. But like you said, Triple H, loved these guys, but he did not like Enzo for exactly what happened to Enzo. Him just kind of not being reckless because he didn't do anything, but something
Just
like that popping up. And,
Yeah.
well, they looked at him as reckless because the allegations were filed in October, but Enzo claims he
Hmm.
didn't know anything about it. So
Exactly.
but
I think that is.
the company doesn't look at it like that because they don't know if he's lying. They just look at it as, well, what the fuck? You had these charges on you since October and you didn't tell us. So that, I'm sure, is what I know that's a straw that broke the camel's back, but
Mhm.
I think that as far as these guys having legitimate plans, the plans were passed up on when the Hardys came back. So actual plans, no. These guys would have randomly. Oh, Vince McMahon wants Enzo and Cass to challenge for the tag titles at SummerSlam, and that's where they'll win them. There will I. Well, we all know this. This is everybody's problem in WWE, but they suck ass with long-term booking. That's no secret. And Vince, if he's not going to long-term book for damn near anybody, I can tell you right now, he's not going to long-term book for Enzo and Cass. So I do think
Mhm.
that they would have got a reign, but I think it would have, like Sir K said, been anticlimactic, and I think it would have been underwhelming.
Most
Um,
definitely.
considering
Probably
what,
in Extreme Rules.
right, with our storylines, you have some kind of build, you have some kind of reasoning as to these
Hmm.
guys fighting through criticism, really fighting through the criticism that these guys receive, or did receive on a day-to-day basis. Everybody always, questioning these guys, questioning if they're good enough, just because they just didn't feel that they had it in them. But yeah, that's what I think would have ended up But the general question: would they have ever been tag team champions? Yes, I do think they would have been tag team champions eventually. But like I said, and like Sir K said as well, man, I think it would have been underwhelming, and I think it
Hmm.
would have been anticlimactic for sure. Next up, man. What would have happened to 205 Live? It was at a point where Vince McMahon needed Enzo for the show to operate because he was getting bored of Neville at the time, and
Hmm.
he wanted a character, if you will, like Enzo to go with the show. So, what do you think would have happened to 205 Live? Would it got canceled, or would it have just stayed being horrible?
I think it has three different fates. I think the rarest fate would have been it got canceled. I don't think they would ever want to like cancel a show like 205. I think it would be like a very last resort. But I'd say knowing Vince, it'd be either between two things. He would either send some goofy ass character down to 205 to, make it what he wants it to be like. I don't even know it was a character at the time, but he would send some goofy ass character to 205 just because that's for some reason how he imaged 205 Live. So he'd probably send someone like that to 205 Live. Or I think he might have just gave up and gave it to Triple H a little bit earlier than what actually happened. I think, yeah, I think either he would have got, either came up with, created, or just sent down, or just sent a character to 205 to do what he wanted, to make 205 what he wanted. But if he couldn't do that, I think he would just be like, man, fuck this show. I got Raw to worry about. Just give it to Paul. He said he said he would want it. So just give it to Paul. Cause, like you said, he was getting bored of Neville. Neville was already on his way out. So I think it would either fucking go to Triple H early, or just be a character sent down to replace what Enzo would have been. Who that character was, like I said, I can't remember 2017 like that, man. I can tell you a goofy ass character, maybe the fucking Singh brothers, something like that. But
The
yeah, I think it
fuck?
would either have been put into Papa Mark's hands a little early, or just been sent a just basically a replacement for Neville, for not Neville, for Enzo. What do you think would happen?
Man, I wonder, I doubt this, but, I wonder if he would have ever sent anybody like Finn Balor down there. Or like, I wonder if he would have started chucking NXT guys up there, like Gargano, Champa, Ricochet.
I can kind of see that low key.
I
Some
could see him
singing
just,
guys.
yeah, I could see him chucking Tyler Bate and all those dudes up there. I could totally
Mm-hmm.
see that, man. But what would have happened on 205 Live? He probably would have gave it to Triple H a little sooner. Considering they haven't canceled the show now, I don't think the show would be canceled. Only because if they're not canceling it now, who knows if
Mm-hmm.
they're ever going to cancel it, or if they didn't cancel it when it first started. Ooh,
Oof.
that shit was fucking horrible,
That was bad.
horrible.
Just at the time. That was bad.
Yeah, man. But yeah. I definitely think it would have went to Triple H a little sooner, or uh, he it would have had to because he would have needed Neville down there, and Neville didn't want to be down there anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and Neville would have ended up walking out, like he did, because which leads us to our next question: would Neville still have left? Now, if you guys don't know the story,
Mm-hmm.
Neville didn't have a problem with losing to Enzo. They were actually best friends. As weird as that sounds, Neville left because the plans changed. He was supposed to move up to the main roster and graduate from 205 Live, but they told him no. They told him, we need you to stay in 205 Live and you're going to be in a feud with somebody down there. I can't remember who it was, but they wanted him in 205, so that's why he left. He actually did not have a problem with losing to Enzo, I guess. And and that's why Neville left. But do you still think that Neville would have left?
Ooh. Um. I think. Again, there's probably like two different scenarios of this happening. The one is probably where, to be honest, especially if Enzo didn't go down, they would just keep him down there for even. They would want to at least keep him down there for even way longer without someone like Enzo to carry the show. Well, you know what I mean. For Vince
A
McMahon's
big
eyes to carry
name.
the show. Yeah. So I think at least Vince McMahon would have still wanted to keep him down there. He'd have been like kind of like the same way, same thing he said in real life. It's just we can't send you up there. There's no one else in that roster or in 205 that's on your level technically. That's
The
how
Neville level.
yeah, on the Neville level, man. But so I think in that scenario he still would have left because he still would have been trapped in 205 because there's no one else and realistically, especially at the time, who the fuck wants to go down to 205? So I think
Please do.
Neville would be trapped there and he would just want to leave. Or the other scenario is that he is called up, but he's booked as probably a low mid card person, in Vince McMahon, and he would be tired of this bullshit, know his worth, and want to leave. So I think, either one of those two, because I could easily see them wanting him with that U.S. title because, oh my God, I'm
He
imagining.
he is one of the
Imagine.
candidates, man, that if you really go balls to the walls and want to make that championship something, he's the kind of guy you give it to. He
Hmm.
brought so much importance to that cruiserweight championship, but that's the thing. The U.S. title is a prop. They're never, ever going to convince me until they get a new championship, which they probably
Hmm.
won't even then, that they actually want to go somewhere with this championship. But if
Hmm.
if Vince McMahon one day woke up and was like, you know what, man, I want to make the U.S. championship legit as fuck, he's a guy you give it to. Uh,
Hmm.
but obviously that's never the case,
Oh,
and yeah, so
like, I think that would be Neville's mentality too. If something like a U.S. title, he would want to make it actually mean something. But they would be putting him against a fucking. Oh God, I can't remember 2017 to save my fucking life. They would probably put him against like Heath Slater or fucking Rhino and shit in the mid card division, and that would just be terrible. Because I learned while booking these shows, I don't even remember this, but in the 2017 Superstar Shakeup, Rhino, he stayed in Rhino or moved to Raw. I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, I
He
remember that.
stays. What that happened? So I could see them fucking doing that type of shit with the Neville U.S. title reign, where they want him to fucking face Rhino at Backlash for the fucking thing and shit, and he would be like, "Bro, what the fuck? Why is Rhino still employed?" Like, I think it would be one of those where he wants the U.S. title to mean something. He wants to care about their mid card division, but they don't care about their mid card division. So he'd be like, what's the fucking point of caring if they don't? And he would just be like, yeah, there's better pastures somewhere else. The grass is definitely greener on the other side for me. So I think no matter what, to be honest, I think he would still end up leaving just because they don't take. He takes wrestling very seriously, and they don't. Like, look what he was doing with the Dragon Gate title. He refused to lose until he lost that title. That's how serious he takes this business. And with Vince McMahon, that mentality, those two mentalities would clash so bad. I think no matter what, that Neville would end up leaving. So yeah, what do you think would happen with Neville, man?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, like you said, I think that he. So I think would Enzo still have left if Enzo was never brought down there? 110% because of the fact Enzo's not here. Nobody on this brand meant anything until Triple H took it over and started building up Cedric, Mustafa, Gulak, and Murphy, and a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of Tony Nese, and nobody meant anything. So we need you back down here because you're the only intriguing character on this show, and uh, and that's the end of it. And he would have left, man. And if they would have graduated him, this guy's stuck on the pre-shows. He's either stuck doing nothing, and if he does win the U.S. or IC championship, if he wins the IC championship, but no, it was on Raw at the time. If he wins the U.S. championship, he's stuck in a horrible era of SmackDown. And if he wins the IC championship, he's stuck in a horrible era of Raw. And you said it perfectly. He takes this very seriously, and he takes the in-ring part of it very seriously. And they don't like that because they would rather have him in these matches that are 5 minutes long because he's always going to be looked at as a cruiserweight, whether anybody likes it or not. So would he still have left? 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100% he still would have left, I think.
Most definitely.
So, is there any other questions you got?
I was trying to think of a man, but no, not really, because I was thinking if they would ever go to the Indies end zone cast, but I don't think so, man.
Not a lot of people like him. Not a lot of people
Yeah,
like him. That's the
that's
horrible
not.
thing about that. That
Yeah,
they're just apparently they're hard to work with, I guess, or a lot. I don't know if they're hard to work with or people just don't like how they act. But I
yeah,
mean, Enzo is what you see is what you get. You know what I
mm-hmm.
mean?
He
There's
is his character.
Yeah, and that. It's funny because that's all the old timers say. Your character should just be you, amped up to 10, and that's Enzo, and he's hated for it. So I never understood that. Regardless on if this guy sucks in the ring, dude, he's so fucking good on the mic. He's so fucking good,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what makes him intriguing, and that's what got him over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so to people that bash on him, it's just completely fucking ridiculous considering the fact that this guy is so good on the mic. Not that it makes up for his matches, but it's like he's just intriguing. He's just an entertaining character, and it's good shit. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, man. So that is the uh what if Enzo and Cass never broke up, man? We just told you. We just told you, man. So now for this one. What if the 2016 draft never happened? If this never happened, this could have been a seismic shift.
Mm-hmm.
Would certain people have been called up sooner or later? You never know. I
Yeah.
wonder. I wonder if I wonder. I'm just gonna say this now because I'm probably gonna forget it by the end of this. But I wonder if obviously they say Finn Balor to be drafted at the draft, but I wonder if there was no draft ever going to take place. I wonder if they would have just called him up after the Brooklyn show that year, Brooklyn 2, or I wonder if
Mm-hmm.
they would have called him up after. I wonder if they would have called him up after Takeover Dallas,
Yeah.
the After Mania show, Finn Balor, man. But oh, there's so much to all go over at once. But without further ado, man, you want to kick us off, bro?
Alright, bro. I got what title should I start off with? That's the real
Personally,
question.
I started off with my US, but
I got you. That's an
yeah,
easier one to read off first. So, the U.S. title, my God. So, at the time, I have learned I did not know this because I did not care about WrestleMania 32. I had to go back and look at this, but at WrestleMania
Callisto,
32, Kalisto would beat Ryback. I don't
the
know if it's for
pre-show stopper.
yeah
It
the
was.
oh
It was for the. It was for. Yep, that was the one where we were the
okay
pre-show shopper, and it was for the US title.
the pre-show. He's a legend for that man. God. The pre-show.
Fucking Ryback Reeves.
God, but so that is what happened at WrestleMania 32. So he did Kalisto beaten Ryback Reeves for that U.S. title on the kickoff show at WrestleMania 32. So what happens after that is after that it would build. To be honest, I didn't know really what you could do with fucking Kalisto, so I just have him fucking do random shit till around SummerSlam till he would get in a feud with who is eventually going to be U.S. champion in real life, Rusev. So he would get in a feud, Rusev for the coming months, have a couple matches, blah blah blah. It would lead to a SummerSlam match where at SummerSlam Rusev would beat would beat Kalisto, and it would be one of the because I okay I should explain this before, but I'm gonna do it now. I booked my I booked my what if scenarios in two aspects. A very realistic way, and I think how I booked these actions would have taken place by this company. And these are pretty simple and short individual ones. So that's just for the information. But I came up my idea for this was I came up with who would be the champs and what would happen, but I booked it in a Vince McMahon way. So I try to be pretty realistic with this. So here's how to go. So Rusev would become, one of those generic foreign U.S. title heels that, wins the U.S. title to show that, Bulgaria is better than America or, whatever bullshit. So that would happen for, the coming weeks. And he would start a feud with at the time, he would have been floating around at this point, but at the time, still heel AJ Styles. He still got the club. Just, I mean, because multiple reasons, but he still has the club, and AJ is feuding with Rusev for the U.S. title, even though he is also heel because he's Southern and he loves America and he wants to, prove what Southern America is like with the U.S. title. Very WWE Vince McMahon shit for the U.S. title, man. So that feud would begin, and at Survivor Series, because Survivor Series wouldn't be brand to brand anymore, sadly. I don't see the point in Survivor Series without the brand or band, but that's what happens. Um, at Survivor Series, they got matches and shit, and hold on, I want to make sure I read this right. Yes, Rusev retains his title at Survivor Series, blah blah blah. They continue their feud because AJ still loves America and he's even though he's still heel, he wants to prove that, his Southern pride. Because that's when he never brings up that he's from, the South and shit. But at the time, I think he's also, I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but to me, AJ has lost so much of his Southern accent to me. I don't know if it's just me, bro. Or is he like not Southern much anymore? Like, I don't know if that's just me, but that's how I feel with AJ anymore. I think that was a unique aspect of AJ.
I
But
think so. Well,
uh
Vince hates him,
it's
but
yeah.
he wanted to have Harper do one. Made no sense.
Yeah, it made no sense. You hate the accent, but you want to make a guy who can't do the accent do the accent. That's this type of Vince McMahon logic. But so yeah, man. So they continue feuding for the U.S. title. At the Royal Rumble, AJ finally wins, because, he's American, whatever. He wins the US title. Rusev's, buried yet again because they love burying Rusev, making him look like an idiot, having people embarrass his wife, all that type of shit would have happened in this feud. You know, like, it happened even before this Bobby Lashley bullshit, but you know how many times that they would fucking do some shit to Lana before. Like, they always did that type of shit to Rusev. So, of course, that would happen again in the storyline. At some point, AJ would be trying to plow her. He would probably say some shit like that, knowing heel AJ. Well, I mean, he had a wife and a kid, but you know what? Fuck it, he's a heel. And that's fun. So, he would be saying shit like that. So, but at the end of the match, Bray Wyatt would attack AJ Styles, after AJ won the title. So they start building a feud of Club versus Wyatt family for, well, Wyatt and AJ versus for the US title, because Wyatt, I think, even though it wouldn't be the same scenario at that time, people just wanted Wyatt to do something, man. People just, yeah, especially in 2017. A lot of people won't admit it, but a lot of people loved Wyatt, bro. He could get a pop so easily, man. People just wanted to see him fucking win for once. So I think that they would still do something with Wyatt because they know that people still like him. They always did. They just never did anything with him. So I think they would build, or I mean, this is how I think they would build this. It is Club versus Wyatt family. So, they got, the club and, Harper and Rowan, and technically still Braun. He would still be with the group at the time, or he might not. That's whatever happens. But, yeah. So it's Harper, Rowan versus Luke, and Luke and Carl. I mean, Gallows and Anderson. So that would be happening. And their match at Mania would build up. I mean, they're technically both AJ and Wyatt are Southern people, so it would just be basically, you know, AJ Styles and them versus the cult, not the cult of Wyndham, but Bray Wyatt and his cult, because they're still doing the cult shit at the time. So it would build up to WrestleMania 33, where at that show, Wyatt would actually win the US title, beating AJ for it. So, yes, I think that is how the US title will go, and I think Wyatt would win because, for multiple reasons. First of all, AJ just being from TNA, from the Indies, I think it automatically puts them not even on a sour taste, but a not preferenceable taste for the management. And plus, they know why it was hot. They always knew it. And I don't think in real life, at Mania 33, they did it because it was against Randy Orton, and their logic is, well, people fucking love Orton, but so, Wyatt isn't gonna, get a react, or, their logic. But I think they would see as Wyatt being above AJ at least, and being able to win the US title. So I would think they would let Wyatt go over in that scenario. That would be happening in my scenario. Wyatt will win against AJ Styles, and that would be their part in this faction versus faction feud for those titles, man. So, So yeah, that's the U.S. title booking. Ends at Mania 33 with Wyatt as United States Champion, poor guy. Um, so next, only because they're connected in a way, I'm going to go into the Tag Team Championships. So after, um, show WrestleMania, fuck, I wrote down who was champs. Yeah, it was a New Day. They were still champs of time. They were, I think that was, weren't that the time they were still doing their longest reign? Or they like just nearly started it?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So that was going on at the time. So there was the SummerSlam feud of New Day versus the Dudley Boys because they were actually employed at the time. I forgot that. Didn't remember that. They were kind of still employed at the time. I thought that would just be a fun SummerSlam feud for them. So that would start, or, it would lead to a feud at SummerSlam. And at SummerSlam, they would, of course, defend their titles against the Dudley Boys, you know, for the titles. And, Dudley Boys would probably leave the company after that because I think in real life they were gone before SummerSlam, but, it's a change. So why not? Why not stay for the New Day at least to leave? So it called up American Alpha would challenge the New Day for those titles at one of the pay-per-views after SummerSlam, and well, no, at Survivor Series, and knowing WWE booking, they would lose. So American New Day keep their titles, keep their streak going, but on one of the weeks on Raw after Survivor Series, the club would attack the New Day to, show that they want the titles, man. So a feud would build between the New Day and the club. 2017 club, so they'd actually be still not dead. So, of course, and New Day, which I think at the time people were really high in the New Day, but people were also really down to see what, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson can do. So they were very intrigued by them at the time. I think, if I remember correctly. Um, but their feud would go on. It would lead to a match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, where it would be the club versus New Day, and before the match can finish, the Wyatt family would interrupt that match, causing a disqualification. You know, that shit. And that would lead to a feud between New Day and the club, because, that would be like the first little feud that would start. And, and not New Day and the club, New Day and the Wyatts this would be a non-title match. And of course, well, the way I would book it, probably the most unrealistic standpoint of this tag team thing, but the New Day would win. Not would lose in a non-title feud, so it wouldn't be for the titles yet. But they're clearly wanting the titles, and the club is still in the picture. All that shit. So basically, it'd just be crazy chaotic fighting between these three factions, basically. So yeah, and that would lead to them making the decision at WrestleMania over these months, all that was happening. So that would lead to a decision for those titles to be defended in a ladder match at WrestleMania 33. And the ladder match would contain New Day, um, New Day, Wyatt's Club, and a returning Hardy Boys. Because you know, just because. Um, yes, and now, that could have went either two ways. Either Hardy's win because, they're returning and whatnot, or Wyatt's win. I mean, knowing this company, probably, most realistically, Hardy's would win. But I think the most ideal and the fan wanted thing or outcome would be the Wyatt family to win. So, if I'm being realistic still here, I think the Hardy Boys would win that WrestleMania 33 ladder match for those titles. So that's how the way I'm gonna go, because that's just what they would do, because they're returning, they gotta win the titles by their logic. Boom. That is the tag team titles at the end of WrestleMania 33. the Hardy Boys would be a shock entry in the match and win those tag team championships, man. So yeah, that's the tag team division. What I think the big plot points of that would happen. Moving on, man. You hold on. I'm gonna say this right now. You kept your women's the same, right?
Yes.
As like real life history, because I did too. Only thing I would maybe add in there would be I think since the Four Horsewomen would technically be in the same roster, I think they would probably add maybe Becky in there once in a while, and I think probably somehow Bailey. They would probably add them in the Charlotte and Sasha feud somehow at some point. I think they would, but probably not for big ways. But I think like you said before, most of the women's history would stay the same that year. But I think they would probably just add Becky and Bailey in there just a tad, just for some Four Horsewomen references and shit. But yeah, so that's all about the women really. Don't women's they love Charlotte and Sasha. Well, they love Charlotte at the time, so that's the women's shit. But on to the Intercontinental title, man, where um it was happening at WrestleMania 32. Zack Ryder did win the IC title in the ladder match. He won it. It was people marked. It was a great moment in real life. On the next night, I think it was, he lost it. I'm pretty sure it was the next night, right?
Yes.
Yes, he lost it, sadly. Bullshit. So, in my scenario, he wouldn't have lost it. Who did he lose it to?
The Miz.
I can't. So, yes, he didn't lose it to The Miz, but The Miz attempted to go for it after WrestleMania 32, and that would spark a feud between them for a little bit, for like a little start of a feud. But Zack Ryder would have other purposes for, most half of the summer, for, mainly the middle of the summer, whoever that might be at the time. I was looking at the mid card division, to be honest, at the time, really, so it could really be anybody. But it leads to after that, The Miz is back in the picture near SummerSlam time. Starts to challenge Zack Ryder in normal matches and for the title, and just they begin a feud over that IC title. And Miz doing heel Miz shit, and Zack Ryder being the babyface. I think by the time of Mania 32 that they made Zack Ryder stop the YouTube channel. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I believe so.
hmm
Somewhere
So
around there.
yeah, I think it was before 30. I think it was a little bit because I remember then that Talk is Jericho. That's what he said. So sadly, his internet, his YouTube channel wasn't a thing anymore. Sadly, but he would still be over because people really liked Zack Ryder at the time. He was genuinely an enjoyable babyface. Awesome theme song. Love his theme song. But so yeah, so him and The Miz would begin feuding, and The Miz would be doing his normal Miz shit, being a dick, being cocky, being doing some bullshit to win, shit like that. Just rising up there. He gets a contender match, wins it, and it's built up to where at SummerSlam it would be The Miz versus Zack Ryder for the IC title. And at the pay-per-view, in a sudden and semi-legit, semi-like heel way. Don't know how you could. It's kind of hard to see, but eh, you know, it's Miz just legit taking an opportunity in the match. At a low point of Zack Ryder's like stamina, where we could say Miz beats Zack Ryder for the IC title at SummerSlam. You know that shit, and you know Zack Ryder wants it back, wants his rematch after SummerSlam. So, they're building that up. And Sami Zayn would start to get in the picture, start wanting to earn opportunities, start winning matches, getting opportunities, and saying that he deserves a title shot at at a title like the IC title, man. So, at Survivor Series, the match ends up being The Miz versus Sami Zayn versus Zack Ryder, man. And hold hold on, hold on. Okay, so yes, so the feud would build, and you know they're Miz doesn't like Sammy from the start because he kind of just interfering with him and Ryder's business. And Ryder, even though he's the face, he's still, I would want the title shot on my own. Now I'm just gonna have to work even harder to do it. And that's also kind of Sami Zayn's mentality in a way. Just, Sami Zayn's the underdog, so he's just amplifying that idea even more. But it leads to their match at the Survivor Series, where the Miz would pin Zack Ryder to retain his Intercontinental Championship, and then him and Sammy would continue to feud. Miz and Sammy would continue to feud because Sammy didn't lose. That logic. He didn't lose, so he thinks he still, he didn't get pinned, so he still wants a title shot. And Sammy's winning matches, he's still proving himself. He earns another title shot. And at the Royal Rumble, it is The Miz versus Sami Zayn um, for the um, for the title. Uh, all right, so at the Royal Rumble, this is not the Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn. Fuck, I'm fucking fuck tonight, man. I don't know
Uh-huh.
what's wrong with me, bro. But Sami Zayn would lose the match at the Royal Rumble pay-per-view. He would be left beaten down. He'd be left, just genuinely down, sad, underdog shit. So Sami Zayn would start to lose matches little, building up to like not to Royal Rumble, that just happened, building up to Elimination Chamber. He would start losing matches and shit. He would have a match at Chamber, and at his match at Chamber, he would win. And from Chamber to Fastlane, Sami Zayn would be winning matches again, starting his little comeback, getting back up there, shit like that, man. And at the same time, Miz would start a feud with at the time someone they genuinely liked, Baron Corbin, because he went for the IC title in real life versus Dean Ambrose, but that's not what
Who's that?
happened. Oh yeah, versus the prisoner Dean Ambrose. So that would happen, man. Um, Miz and Corbin would, of course, like I said, just start feuding, and at the same time, Sami Zayn would be winning matches and shit. And at and on an episode of SmackDown or Raw, probably Raw, or no, and then probably SmackDown because they're gonna really need to fill time at SmackDown if it's not a brand split. So let's just say on SmackDown, they bring back something they would bring back like I think 2 years later, the Gauntlet match. For Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn would compete in this Gauntlet match, and he would be entered in the middle, or one of the first people to enter, and he would end up winning the gauntlet match, earning a title shot of either the U.S. or the IC title, whatever his choice would be. He would choose the Intercontinental title, and Corbin would be pissed. Miz is, he's annoyed, he's pissed that he has to do this again. So it builds up to a WrestleMania 33 match of Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and The Miz, where Sami Zayn would pin The Miz for the title and have his underdog moment. It would be low-key kind of underwhelming if you really think about it, but I think that's just a realistic way of booking it, of how they would book it at least. So yeah, at WrestleMania 33, Sami Zayn would win the IC title against Miz, pinning the Miz, and Baron Corbin was there too because they liked Baron Corbin at the time. So that is that with the Intercontinental title, and lastly, the WWE Championship. This is what would happen with that title in my scenario. So after at WrestleMania 33, it was um, Roman Reigns versus Papa Mark, Triple H, for the WWE Championship, where Roman Reigns won, of course, trying to get him over. One of their another attempts to get him over didn't work. Who would have guessed? But yeah, man. So after that, I think most realistic, all summer would be building up. Summer after that would just be building up to a Shield triple threat at SummerSlam. I think that's what they want to do. I think it's obvious what would have happened. I think most people would just probably think that this would happen, so that's what I'm going with. At SummerSlam, it is built up to a triple Shield triple threat. Um, Roman, Dean, and Seth. So, and Seth is still heel at the time because he came back and he still believes that Stephanie and Papa Mark and the Authority love him. So it would build up to their match at SummerSlam, where in the match, Roman would be doing his normal shit, his normal Roman generic match shit, kind of weirdly have an underdog match until the end. But in the match, near the end, or at the end, um, Seth Rollins would be there, of course, doing shit, and Papa Mark would come out and pedigree Seth Rollins in front of a downed, in a front of a, barely getting up Dean Ambrose, and basically up, kind of just in the corner shocked Roman Reigns. So Triple H would pedigree Seth Rollins in the middle of the ring and just leave him out, and he would look at Roman Reigns to be like, yeah, take this opportunity, pin him. So that's going on, and then Dean Moxley would get up, start to get up and start to fight Roman Reigns because I mean they're both baby faces, but they're both willing to accept that they gotta fight over this dead Seth Rollins. I mean Roman would kind of be hesitant, but that's Roman Reigns, so that would happen, and then as Dean Ambrose is fighting Roman Reigns, knowing their booking, they would end the match with Roman Reigns pinning Dean Ambrose because of course Papa Mark turning on Seth is clearly going to be a face turn. You know, I think everyone, even Roman, would realize that, or realize the betrayal, and he still wants to be Seth's friend storyline. So of course, you wouldn't want to pin a down friend at heart. So I think up and fighting Dean would be the ideal for them, or what they think Roman would pin. So Roman would pin Dean Ambrose, retaining his WWE Championship. Now, um, after that, of course, Seth would be pissed at Papa Mark. They would start their little feud up, start the clogs rolling on it, but it would lead to a Survivor Series match of Team WWE versus Team Authority. Team Authority, of course, obviously led by Papa Mark, and of course, obviously, Team WWE would be led by Roman. Seth would be on either side. He would just still be shocked. He'd still be, just, kind of processing this all, shit like that, man. So that match would happen. Doesn't really matter who's at both teams. Who really cares, man? It just gets down to Roman and Papa Mark, where Seth would run in, causing Triple H to lose, whether by hitting Triple H or distracting Triple H, and Roman Reigns would pin Triple H yet again, and Team Authority would lose. So, and then after that, Seth and Papa Mark would really begin their feud. To be honest, I don't think Dean would go on to really do anything after that, to be honest. Maybe, realistically, maybe someone with the mid-card division, but this is not the way I booked it, so to be honest, he probably just has some random feud with who knows what after that. Fucking Motor Ali after that. Who cares, really? It was Dean Ambrose, No one really wants to see a Dean Ambrose. So that would happen, man, and it would lead after that eventually at Royal Rumble. I could totally see this happening after what happened at Survivor Series. 'Cause at Survivor Series in the storyline, I think Goldberg and Lesnar still would happen. Goldberg still would have shockingly beat Lesnar, And I think knowing them, they would have Roman face Goldberg at the Royal Rumble for his WWE title, and and Roman would win against Goldberg, totally killing his, little, old guy comeback momentum, because that would just be their logic. Just, oh my God, Goldberg beat Lesnar. Who could beat him? Roman Reigns, of course. So I think at the Royal Rumble that would just be just a generic random match they would go with. I totally see it. Ooh, wait. Yes, yes. I just thought I fucked up my booking. I did not. But also, at the Royal Rumble, The Undertaker, I think, would win the Royal Rumble, and he would challenge Roman Reigns to a match at WrestleMania, because they always wanted to do that match, apparently, and God, Roman's the champ, and shit like that, man. So, I think that would still happen. It would build to a Mania match where Roman wants to, it's his yard now, and he's the champ. Basically kind of what they kind of did in real life, just with the title, man. So, yeah, I think it would just still lead to Mania, and Roman Reigns would beat The Undertaker in his title defense, retaining his title, re- quote unquote retiring The Undertaker, even though realistically he'd probably be back like the next year. But he would retire The Undertaker in the main event with the WWE title. Roman to them looks like a beast, and that's how Mania 33 would go off air, with Roman as WWE champ, or probably they would at least let Undertaker, quote unquote, retiring be the last shot of Mania 33, so that's probably what it would be. But I think that match still would have happened, and Roman, of course, still would have won. So I think that's how that shit would have went. So yeah, that's my scenario for this no no 2016 draft. What if? That's my scenario for all these titles, man. So yeah, man, that's all I got. So what do you got?
All right. So we're gonna be starting this off with the United States Championship. Okay, so Rusev. By the way, we're starting this about the middle of the summer. I don't think anything else about basically where the draft started, pretty much. Rusev would go on to hold the United States Championship until SummerSlam, which then he would drop it to Roman. Goddamn. When he's coming back from his suspension, his 30-day. So Rusev would then drop it to Roman. They would have an actual match, not like the actual SummerSlam where they just kind of fought and the match got called off. So that's okay. Now moving on to the WWE Championship. Seth Rollins does win the championship from Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, and Dean Ambrose. Oh yeah. So this Roman would hold the championship booking up to fall. We're booking this in kind of seasons, if you will. So he will then go to then he would then go and Roman would hold the championship after for his punishment, because I believe that they still would have put the championship on him as a punishment. Meanwhile, Seth Rollins wins the Money in the Bank. Wins at Money in the Bank, beat Roman for the WWE Championship, and then Dean wins, cashes in, same way, and they feud through the fall with Seth winning. So a little bit after SummerSlam, Seth is going to hold the championship. Now, as for the IC Championship, The Miz is going to feud with Sami Zayn after Cesaro. If you guys remember, The Miz did feud with Cesaro, and it was very disappointing because everybody thought Cesaro, a fresh, just returned Cesaro, lose the championship match to The Miz, fresh out after coming back. And but The Miz is going to be in a feud with Sami Zayn. And Sami is going to eventually win this one. Now, as for the women, Sir K kind of dropped a hint earlier. I genuinely believe the women's history would have been the exact same. They were so high on Charlotte and Sasha None of the women on SmackDown, other than Becky, which is going to get a little bit of upside because I believe it would have impacted the situation a little bit differently. So I genuinely think they're still going to do the flip flop, flip flop, flip flop, flip flop the championships through each of them, Charlotte and Sasha, which is fucking miserable, but I believe that is genuinely what is going to happen. Now, as for the tag team championships, the New Day feud with the Wyatt family, which they were in real life, and they win the championships or they retain the championships in the feud because WWE was so high on them beating Demolition's record. So I genuinely believe that that is going to continue. Now, going back to the United States Championship, from fall to about the end of the year, Roman Reigns will drop the championship to Chris Jericho at Roadblock. He's going to hold the championship all the way up until then, but still feuding with them because this is when Jericho just got started up, and I believe is going to be too hot of a commodity for them to not try to make something out of it. So Jericho is going to win the United States Championship with the help of Kevin Owens at Roadblock. And, Roadblock end of the line. Seth Rollins is going to hold the championship through the end of the year. And towards the end of the year, he will be put into a feud with none other than John Cena. This is going to be the story of Cena getting number 16 at the Royal Rumble, similar to how he did with AJ Styles. And Seth is he's gonna win. He's gonna win the feud. Still a heel, by the way. He's going to win the feud, and he is going to be going on to Mania. So it seems, as the WWE champion. Through all of this, at Survivor Series, I believe Goldberg would have still beaten Brock. Back to the Intercontinental Championship. Sami Zayn is going to feud with Baron Corbin up until the next year, just because they were really high on Baron Corbin at the time, but not high on him enough to put the championship on him just yet. So Sami Zayn is going to win the feud. The New Day begin a feud with Gallows and Anderson towards the end of the year. Also, at the Royal Rumble, Finn Balor debuts in the Royal Rumble match and wins the Royal Rumble match. Now, building into Mania, we are still going to see the breakup of Jericho, almost right after Jericho wins the United States Championship. Owens, we're kind of going to see the cracks in the Shield, because Owens is going to get a little bit jealous, and he's going to want to take that away from Jericho, because he didn't think Chris would be able to do it, but now, since he did it with his help, Owens feels like he should be the holder of it, and obviously we are going to get to see the Festival of Friendship thing, hopefully. Seth is going to defend in a chamber match before WrestleMania, and he's going to successfully win, so he will be taking on Finn Balor for the WWE Championship one-on-one at WrestleMania. As for Sami Zayn, he's going to be challenged by the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, at WrestleMania. We got a heel AJ at this point, so we're going to need Sami in some kind of role with him. We're going to need Sami in some kind of role where obviously he can face a heel, which is perfect for him. Now, as for the New Day and Club feud, that seems to be basically fused together with a Enzo and Cass versus the Wyatt family feud, building up to Mania. Also, the Raw after the Royal Rumble, the Raw after Fastlane, sorry, we get the call-up, Elimination Chamber. The Raw after the Elimination Chamber, we get to see the main roster debut of Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is going to attack none other than John Cena, fresh off his loss at the Royal Rumble to Seth Rollins. And this is a bit of a quick one. I kind of booked this and just generally speaking, just kind of the title changes and stuff. So your card for WrestleMania 33 is going to see Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. I still believe we're going to get to see Taker versus Roman Reigns. Whether that's being the main event or not, it's going to happen. Same with Goldberg and Brock. However, I do not think Goldberg and Brock would be for a championship, only because you simply just don't have the room for it. You
Mm-hmm.
don't, you know what I mean? You just can't. With only one championship, it's like with two championships, the other championship can save it. You know what I mean? Because it can cushion it and not make it seem as bad because you still have another world championship match that has good people in it, like we got Randy and Wyatt. I mean, it was a horrible match, but it had good people, and Wyatt deserved that spot. He deserved to win it. But John Cena taking on Samoa Joe. As for the women, Charlotte is going to be in a fatal four way, just like she was in real life. Charlotte is or no, Bayley, sorry, she was a champ at this point. Bayley is going to be defending against Charlotte, Sasha Banks, and instead of Nia Jax, I believe WWE would have went with these four horsewomen fatal four way at WrestleMania, and Becky Lynch is going to be the final one in there. Now, as for the Raw Tag Team Championships, I believe we are going to get the same scenario, a ladder match, but instead of it being a triple threat, we're going to get a fatal four-way. We are going to get the New Day versus Gallows and Anderson versus the Wyatt family versus Enzo and Cass. However, this match is going to be made a fatal five-way, and the Hardy Boys are going to come back and win the tag team championships here, and is going to be a mark-out moment for people. Obviously, it was anyway, but yeah. So moving on, we are going to see Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho for the United States Championship, just like we got in real life. We are going to see Sami Zayn versus AJ Styles for the Intercontinental Championship. And in the main event, we are going to get to see Seth Rollins versus the Demon King, Finn Balor, for the WWE Championship. So generally, that is what I got for. I know it's a lot to take in, but that is basically all the title switches. And I believe that is the course that WWE would have took if had there been no brand split.
Mm-hmm. I dig it. I dig it a lot.
For sure, for sure. Now,
Like it.
yeah, yeah. Moving on to the questions, I guess, guys. To wrap up here. First question. First question, man. Would AJ Styles have ever been WWE champion? What do you think? Had there been no brand split?
Ooh, I'm gonna say ever. I think maybe one day, but at least in the next, at least through 2 years after signing, I don't think so. 2016, 2017, probably even 2018, man. I don't think so because there are so many people they would rather put that title on, like a Roman, a Seth, a fucking, oh, a fucking, oh god, oh
Dean?
my god, gender.
Oh,
Oh my god, I would die if he was the only world champ, man. But I think maybe eventually, even if it's just like before he retires, I think they would at least put him on it eventually. Because I think he was, even before the brand split, he was still pretty hot. I think he would be someone that would always be good with, merch selling. It would not. So I think if it's a low period around his retirement, I think they would give it to him. Other than that, probably not, man, because they would just have their ideas on so many other people, man. They would probably fucking have a god a horrible title reign with Lesnar and shit, man. So I think maybe as like a retirement hoorah, yes, but I think that's the only way he would ever get that title, man. To be honest, because they always want to put it on anybody else. So Maybe. That's a big maybe depending on situations, man. If he would win that title, what do you think?
Would AJ have ever been WWE champion? I think eventually there was a point where he was a little too hot to pass up on.
Hmm.
But man, I think eventually. I think eventually. I think yeah. I think eventually they definitely would have had to for sure. Either fan reaction, but then you also got to think too. They are just as fast to just insert Roman or Seth or one of their cookie jar guys in there if there's no other plans. But see, this is the tricky part. The fact that SmackDown Live was AJ's platform to show that he is one of the best set him up. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
would he have been WWE champion? Ever since that match with John Cena at 2016 SummerSlam, I think John Cena would have definitely have vouched for him to be something other than a mid-carder, and I definitely think that he would have been a WWE champion for sure. So would AJ have been WWE champ? Yes, I think so.
I got you.
Would the bar have ever happened?
Oh, I don't think so, man. Who will? Yeah, I don't think so, man, because wait, ooh, that's actually hard. Probably not. Because they'll have so many tag teams for one division, man. They would have fucking literally everybody on the roster, even the fucking Ascension at the time, because they were still employed. So I think the roster of tag team guys would be so big, because it would be just be one joint roster. I don't think they would ever have to make a just thrown together tag team. But knowing Vince, he would start breaking up people, and he would fucking, and he loves mashed up tag teams, man. So, a rare chance, maybe, a very rare maybe, if if it's only the scenario's right, where he wants to make a makeshift tag team, and they're doing nothing in their mid card division, I would think maybe. But other than that, I don't think he would need to make them the bar because they would literally have fucking so many people, especially over time, people getting called up and shit. That tag team roster would be so ginormous, he wouldn't know what to do with it. So I wouldn't think he would create much anymore. So probably, most likely not. But there is that small scenario where I think it could happen. So yeah, that's what I think about that. What do you think, man?
No, no. I think that the bar would have never been a thing. I think Cesaro and Sheamus would have just been floating in a sea of nothing, and maybe because of that, I feel that WWE may have put them in a tag team just to make it look like they're doing something with them. But
Hmm.
would they even then would they have at least been something as good as what they were?
Hmm.
Um, no, no, and I think with so many good teams, obviously on one roster, keeping it all to one roster, I think definitely that you don't have space to put it on makeshift tag teams when you have legit tag teams, and I mean it's not like you're in it's not like you're in a panic to the point where you're like, oh shit, we need tag teams, because even at the time when the Bar were tag team champions, they had a lot of tag teams already. They had Gallows and Anderson, New Day, Enzo and Cass. I mean, there was other jobber tag teams, but those were pretty much the top three ones.
Gable and Benjamin.
Um, and yeah, do I think the bar would have ever came to be? Probably not. Probably not. I think, but do I think each member would have done something significant on their own? Probably not. So either way, the brand split was definitely a good thing for these two. When and would he ever become a champion? Finn Balor.
That is a hard ask. To be honest, I think since they were so hot on him around SummerSlam time, I don't know if it was just because of the draft, but I mean they put him on Raw, so I think that clearly shows Vince saw something in Finn at the time to become a champion. I think they would have a test run for him, whether it's in 2016 or 2017. I think they would at least give him a test run with at least the IC title, I would think. So become a champion, I would think probably. I would think they were so high on him, they wanted to test him out, test the waters. Even if it's, Vince McMahon test the waters where he fucking wins the US title. But in terms of world title, that's a big. Ooh, ah, uh, I think they would want to, but I think they would be too distracted with people like Roman and shit to where they would never just pull the trigger. So a title, I would think definitely, because they were really hot on him, especially before he got injured. So I would think yes, but with a world title, that's just ooh. To be honest, maybe, probably not, man, because they would be so high on a Roman or a Lesnar or a fucking or a oh, God, heaven forbid a Goldberg or a Jinder, man. But yeah, man, a title, I would think definitely the world, big, maybe, depending on if they're willing to pull the trigger with someone that he would be the star of their whole company. He would be the champion of their whole company. So that's a big fat depends. Maybe I would think not, to be honest. I would, I would think with logic, so with my logic, I would think probably not as a world champ, but I would think definitely as a mid card champion. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I agree 100% with you. I think they would have been like, we want to have a slow build with Finn Balor. We want to take him up the ranks, but they never take him past the IC or US championship. And
Mhm.
I think this guy would have probably been in a fucking tag team with Neville or Sami Zayn before we know it. I think they would have, or maybe not that bad, but I think he just would have been a floating around mid Carter who eventually uses the demon to win a championship, but without the demon, he just looks weak as fuck and an underwear model, just like how we got him in 2018. Or yeah, 2018. And yeah, man, I don't think he ever would have been a world champ. I think the brand split really helped him out in that respect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely think that that's a no. I don't think. Speaking of world champs, would Goldberg have ever been a world champ like he
Uh,
so
I don't
sadly
think so,
was?
man. I wouldn't think so, man, because I keep using the example, but someone like Roman, they would choose someone like Roman, or 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 Jinder, even a Seth. I think they would choose over a Goldberg, man, because I don't know why they gave him the Universal title for him and Lesnar. I think it was just for the Lesnar reign they wanted, but I think they would wait for like someone like Seth Roman for the Lesnar reign, for Roman to be able to topple it. So to be honest, I wouldn't think so, man. I yeah, I wouldn't think so. I would hope not, but I don't think so. Without a brand split, I don't think they could afford, and I think they would know that they wouldn't be able to afford to put a title on Goldberg's old dumbass. So
Yeah.
I would give that answer a no. What do you think?
Uh, yeah, I think they would have been in the mindset of like, what? We can't take the WWE Championship off Roman for Goldberg. Are you kidding me? But we could take the WWE title off Kevin Owens for Goldberg. You know what I mean? That type thing.
Yeah.
So I think they just would have had their head in the Roman Reigns clouds. And yeah, they like those title reigns for people that they like him for part timers, but Goldberg's an Undertaker part-timer. That's not even a
Mm-hmm.
part-timer. That's like a
Two
fucking
show.
never-timer. Like
Yeah.
one show a year, maybe two.
Damn.
Um, right, yeah, but a part-timer is somebody like Brock. You know, was one of those guys they
Mm-hmm.
will put the title on he because of the fact that he will show up again, and you never know when Goldberg's gonna show up again because Brock's only 40 and Goldberg's like
Yeah.
52, I think, or 54 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so um yeah, I definitely think that Goldberg would have just been brought in, similar to how the Undertaker does, just kind of do this match and then go away, even and win, even though you're not going to be at work the next day. So,
I
um,
swear, man.
yeah, so yeah, definitely a no for me. I hope, but
Yeah.
would Becky Lynch have ever? Would Becky Lynch have ever got the spotlight? You know what I mean? Because without SmackDown, dude, she became the man on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
She, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just winning the championship and having that huge spotlight on her, being the first ever um, inaugural women's champion. So I mean, you can even associate the man with this, obviously, because the man was born on SmackDown. And who knows what would have happened if all the divisions were merged? Who would have even noticed if they would have gave somebody like Becky Lynch the time of day to hear her ideas on a new character?
Mm-hmm.
So, um, seemed like the only thing she had going for her was that she was Charlotte's best friend. So,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
what do you think? Would she have ever got the spotlight?
Now, I think she would eventually got a title reign. I think since I think just because she's a member of Force Horsewoman, they would eventually give her a title reign. But I don't think it would have been spotlighted at all. It probably would have been like a SummerSlam to Royal Rumble type title reign, just something to get them probably knowing them just probably like through the summer or till Rumble, till they actually start booking things semi in advance. So yeah, man. I don't think she would ever got any type of spotlight, whether as just that old redhead last kicker Becky Lynch, and especially man, ooh, as the man, would the ooh, is this a question you'll ask? Would the man ever be created?
Yeah, that could be associated with this one for sure.
So I think either, and with no brand split, either the man would never be created, or I think it definitely will be created. Because it'll either be Becky being done with everybody, especially Charlotte's bullshit, kayfabe wise, and just, I don't think it would be the man as we see it actually played out, but something like just being fed up with the bullshit. So I think a type of man Becky Lynch we would get, I don't think it would be big or as cool or as like iconic as the man Becky Lynch was. I think we'd probably get something like that eventually. But other than that, I think the only type of title reign she would get would be the would just be a random one between like fucking Extreme Rules and fucking TLC, man. You know, but yeah, man. And the only type of spotlight would be I think she would get is just maybe a fucking SummerSlam title feud with Charlotte Flair, man. Other than that, man, I don't think anything would become a Becky Lynch. Sadly, man. Sadly, man, I don't think much they would want to do much with her, man. They would I think fucking Alexa would eventually come in and they would fall in love with Alexa and all that type of shit, man. So I think I'm gonna give it a no on the Becky Lynch spotlight and a yes on the title reign. Just probably anticlimactic, very shitty one, man. So yeah, man. What do you think about Becky Lynch in this scenario?
Yeah, man. No, no. At the time, they were so high on Charlotte burying Sasha, so that
Mm-hmm.
was their main thing. But as far as the man goes, I don't think people understand how important the brand split was. The whole moment
Mm-hmm.
with her bleeding on the top of the stands wouldn't have happened if SmackDown wouldn't have invaded Raw. They wouldn't have had to.
Mm-hmm.
There's no brand split. But man, I especially with Ronda coming in at the time and Charlotte, I'm gonna give it a no on the man. I feel like they wouldn't have even wanted to give her the time of day because we got
Mm-hmm.
Ronda and Charlotte for Mania. That's all we know. That's all we see for the women's division. I don't think that we ever would have got the man for sure without the brand split. I think that yeah, I genuinely think they wouldn't have gave her the time of day. And there's so many people like the Alexas and the Charlottes and the Rondas that they just love. I don't think they would have ever even listened to a single idea from Becky Lynch. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a no. Very unfortunately, I'm gonna have to give it a no. Speaking of Spotlight,
Mm-hmm.
man, would the Miz and Dolph Ziggler had got theirs?
I don't know. Damn. Maybe, man. I don't know much about that whole. I mean, I remember it, but I don't know much about like the logistics of it, like the backstage and the fans of it, man. So, I think, I think the Miz would eventually got at least some mid-card spotlight, man. Because I mean, he's a very compelling person, or especially he was around 2016, 2017. So I think at least with the Miz, he would have definitely got some sort of mid-card spotlight with just his fucking mic skill alone. I think he would have got it for himself. But Dolph, man, I think his lifer status would have began even earlier than that, than it actually did, man. I think that people would be so, or Vince and management would be so focused on other mid card guys, they wouldn't give Dolph a chance. And to be honest, he probably wouldn't even care knowing Dolph or how we see Dolph. So with Miz, I'd say probably he'd get. I genuinely would think he would eventually get some spotlight in within those 2 years because he was a very compelling, very interesting, and very just um eye-catching or ear-catching really person, man. But yeah, man, The Miz, I would say probably most likely Dolph. Very, very, very low chance. I don't think so, man. Yeah, man. What do you think?
No, definitely a no. I think the Miz would have continued his reign, but let me remind everybody, man. If it wasn't for Talking Smack, I don't know if people would be as invested in the Miz. And there's no Talking Smack in this scenario because there's no brand split. So man, no, I definitely think and Ziggler, fuck no, because they never gave a shit about him in the first place. I don't know how much they like Miz, but unless Miz had vouched for him, maybe. But I'm not sure. I don't think Miz is one. I know Miz is one of those guys that they like, and I know he's one of those guys that's always a good hand. But I don't know if they like love Miz like they love certain people. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. I don't think. I think Miz just goes on to have his traditional heel IC champ guy, suit wearing guy, IC title reign, and it's easily forgettable at the end of the day. Instead, we got one that we all remember and most likely will never forget. But had there be no brand split, I don't think we have that never forgetting reign because Talking Smack made the Miz an unscripted show that you put the Miz on.
Mm-hmm.
That's money right there. And once
That's
they
true.
and if you take that money, so called, away from him, that money being the microphone and that money being Talking Smack, I don't think we have a reason to be as invested in the Miz other than the traditional heel that uses his wife to win the match. So yeah, man,
Yeah,
uh, it's
agree.
gonna have to be a no for me. But as we wrap it up here, man, what would have happened to American Alpha? And not only American Alpha, but some other people got called up as well. What would have happened to Alpha, Finn, Naya got called up, Carmella got called up. Well, the main ones. What would have happened to American Alpha and Finn Balor? I believe those were the main ones that were called up. And uh, Alexa Bliss, I guess she ended up being a major player at the time. So, what would have happened with those guys and girls?
I think Bliss, I think she would eventually get called up, probably around like Royal Rumble time, maybe earlier. And I think she still would have been at least someone that Vince and them wanted to do good, because I mean they always loved Bliss. So I think eventually she would go on to at least do something, and I think at least management would really get behind Bliss. So I think most of her history would probably not be the same events, but the same feeling about her. That they would love her, they would love to push her, shit like that, man. I think Bliss would still be pretty up there with them, man. But Gable and Jordan,
Hmm,
damn.
I miss them.
Swear, man. I think without Kurt Angle as GM, man, they couldn't have done that illegitimate son storyline. So I think they would have stayed together. But what they would have done? Probably just float around the tag team division. They probably wouldn't have had them do much, man. They probably would have just have been doing this random shit on fucking these shows, man. Probably just pre-tape matches on SmackDown. No, and then
Um,
probably made event, sadly. But yeah,
Pinnacle.
I don't think they would be broken up, but I don't think they would still do much with American Alpha either, man. And Finn, I think, like we said before, I think it's obvious they would at least want to do like what you said, that slow build up for Finn with like the IC title or something. I think that one's obvious for Finn Balor. Fuck Nia, Nia. Oh God, I think she would eventually get called up, probably around the same time as Bliss. I think they would slowly, for some reason, start to like her. Probably even slower because they have Charlotte and Bliss, and they're two favorite blondes. So I think it would be a little while till they start to get on the disastrous, um, always injury Nia train. But I think it would eventually happen, sadly. But with Carmella, I don't think she would have got called up. I think she would have stayed with Enzo and Cass because they were called up. Wait, oh no,
No,
yeah.
they
Oh
split
shit,
them and they kept her in NXT.
damn. What the fuck were they? I mean, she is blonde, so I think that either she would have been their third favorite blonde when she would eventually got called up, or she would have went back with Enzo and Cass, man. I think that's either of the two. So with Carmella, I would prefer going back to Enzo and Cass, and that's maybe what they probably would have done because what else? What the fuck else were they gonna do with her? You know? So yeah. Were there any other names you said? I forgot.
No, no, that was it.
All right. Yeah, I think that's happened with all of them. Gable and Jordan would break up, but they'd probably be nothing. Finn floating around in mid card. Bliss would probably eventually do pretty good, sadly. And Nia would, I think it would take longer, but sadly she would do good too. And I think Carmella would, to be honest, probably end up going back to Enzo and Cass, man. I don't see what else you could do with her ass. So yeah, man, that's what I think would happen with those called up guys and girls. What do you think?
Yeah, starting off with the boring ones, man. Carmella. Apparently, they did not, for whatever reason, Vince did not want Carmella with Enzo and Cass. So I honestly think what would have happened to her is the exact same thing eventually. Either she doesn't get called up at all, or she's blonde and they're like, you know what, she can be a good hand if we ever come up with anything for her, which they eventually did. So she just would have been a random ass woman floating around the fucking undercard of the fucking women's division. Not too much to say on that,
Mm-hmm.
but Naya, she would have been one hell of a botch machine like she is today, man. She's definitely mastered it, but yeah, Naya, dude, she probably would have got called up after SummerSlam or after WrestleMania, because I wonder if they saved a lot of post Mania call ups for the draft. So she probably would have got called up after Mania, which is way too soon anyway. But I'm gonna say she probably would have got called up either randomly or uh in the what is it called in after SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
As for Bliss, dude, man, she's blonde. They loved her look. They were gonna fast track her to the
Mm-hmm.
main roster as soon as she could, as soon as they could. She had nothing to worry about, which we all know how that played out. But without a brand split, she probably would have just been fucking insufferable. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe not, because maybe they feel that they already have a good blonde in Charlotte. So what do you need Bliss for when you got Charlotte? So who knows, man? But I definitely think, I definitely think that definitely think she would have got called up pretty soon, probably after SummerSlam as well, or even after Mania. As for American Alpha, no Kurt Angle means no legitimate son
Mm-hmm.
storyline. So yeah, I definitely think these guys would have. These guys were not given the chance to show their charisma as they had in NXT. They were not given that chance. And their gimmick was two standout athletes, and that ended up coming to bite them in the ass because WWE did not take a liking to this tag team and felt, why don't we break them up because they're not that special, which is wrong, and we'll put one of them with Kurt Angle as his son, and um and it's not going to be the one that reminds us all of Kurt Angle. Because Chad Gable reminds all of us of Kurt Angle. He really does. The guy's nothing against Jordan. Jordan's a tremendous talent. I love Jason Jordan. Um, and I remember people used to say he sounds like a kid that just got pussy for the first time. But yeah, he
That's
was so
hilarious.
awful on the mic, but it was so fucking hilarious, man. But yeah, Jordan's a tremendous talent. I love Jason Jordan, but let's be honest, man. Um, Chad Gable just reminds all of us of Kurt Angle. He really does.
Mm-hmm.
Just his in-ring style just reminds all of us of Kurt Angle. Uh, and Jordan's does too, but I mean, Gable, man, is just he just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure all of us can relate there. I never really seen Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan. I always seen it in Chad Gable for some reason, and I think a lot of us did. And also, well, I mean, I guess I kind of see why. I was gonna say Chad Gable had more charisma, so if they were gonna do that, I don't know why they chose Jordan. But I guess because Gable already has charisma, they figured we'd give it to Jordan instead. But either way, they should have kept it together. They
Mm-hmm.
should have kept that group together. But on the other hand, either way, they would have been another tag team floating around and doing jack shit. So yeah, that's what I believe would have happened to American Alpha. Would they have been split up? I don't think so. There's no reason to, unless
Yeah.
WWE just pulls an Enzo and Cass, which is never not a possibility, man. But yeah, man. Last two. Would Wyatt have ever been the WWE champion?
Oh God, no. Oh, sadly, oh God, no, man. They never wanted to do big things with Wyatt. They were kind of not nearly Daniel Bryan-esque, but the fans wanted Wyatt so much they kind of had to. So, but yeah, man, I think at the most he would have been a mid-carder until, if anything, he would have unveiled the Fiend character, man. I think as cult leader, especially as after that cult leader where he was just creepy Ray, that wasn't creepy. Um, I don't think he, God no, no title reign at all. They, no world title championship reign for Wyatt. Sadly, man, they just for some reason didn't believe in him, man. It clearly showed when he lost to Cena and Undertaker, WrestleMania's 2 years in a row, and then got buried by The Rock. But well, his group got buried by The Rock, but still, he got buried simultaneously. And yeah, man, sadly, no, man. Mid card as cult leader or just scary, not actually scary Bray, maybe. But I think until and if he unveils a Fiend character, I think so. I think they would probably I would think they would be intrigued. I think they would definitely have to by the fans' interest in it, man. But other than that, before that, God no. Unless it's the Fiend, no, man. Sadly, it's not gonna happen. Sadly, man. What do you think?
No, no. Again, you kept bringing up the point, and it couldn't be any more true. They have their head in the clouds of so many other people. Wyatt is
Mm-hmm.
the last resort if everyone gets injured or if they have nothing else to do. See, on SmackDown, they were backed into a corner, pretty much. And I
Mm-hmm.
guarantee you the only reason Vince let him have the WWE Championship was because they probably proposed to Vince that this is basically just why it's going to just be a transitional champion because we don't want to do Randy versus Cena at Mania. It'd be more sense to do Randy versus Bray considering the storyline, and that's the end of it. No championship reigns for Wyatt. Definitely not. Yeah, that's a no for me. That's easy. That's easy. They never believed in him, and Vince McMahon wants to go on Stone Cold's podcast and say, "Oh, Bray's another one that wants to grab the brass ring," and those things are completely fucking imaginary. There's been so many people to grab them.
Mm-hmm.
When you mentioned the Zack Ryders and the Cody Rhodes and the Damian Sandows and what's up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got is that for Friday
During
or now?
no, we could say it now. It's not news.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just something in that Matt Cardona and
Big money,
Brian Myers, Big Money Matt Cardona, in their Talk of Jericho.
always ready.
Um, Kurt Axel was talking about how
Kurt Axel.
Kurt Axel, I mean Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers was talking what the fuck about how Zack Ryder would be too humble to admit this, but apparently after Mania, before Mania 32, they would always have a meeting
Oh, no, no,
where
no, no,
Vince would.
no. Wait, sorry, let me stop you. It was 2012, 2012, because he grabbed the
Yeah.
brass ring in 2011. Sorry, keep
Mm-hmm. All
going.
right. Yeah. So before that, they would always have a before Mania or after Mania meeting about grabbing the brass rings and shit, the company brass rings and shit. And after that whole shit with the internet title and Zack Ryder getting over on his own and all that shit, after that, and they dropped the ball with Zack Ryder, they stopped doing those meetings because they knew, everyone knew it was bullshit, man. And that just goes to show how bullshit those brass rings really are, man. They mean nothing.
Yeah,
You grab them, you're in trouble.
Kurt Hawkins, Brian Myers said it best. If you go to fucking grab them, you're gonna get your hand smacked. You know, if they don't want
Mm-hmm.
you to have them, you won't have them. That's the end of it. Unless you're Daniel Bryan, where you got a guy like CM Punk that completely trashes Triple H and Vince McMahon to his face and says, you know, if you can't see this is his fucking year, then you're fucking retarded
Mm-hmm.
because it's so obvious, and it was. And yeah, I think I think for sure when when you think of people to grab the brass rings, you think of those guys. You know, you think of the Cody Rhodes and the Zack Ryders and the fucking oh, that was so funny. That one story Zach was telling when he defended the internet championship
Oh my
on the live
god.
event and against Primo and fucking Bray
Yeah.
Wyatt's dad, Mike Rotunda, was fucking pissed. That's so
That's
fucking
fucking
great. Just
amazing.
walks out there with his belt and puts it on the line.
Bruh. God, that's
That's
great.
Yeah, man, and they even made the guy stop his YouTube channel. Like, what kind of shit is that? Why can the Bella
Smart.
twins have a YouTube channel and the New Day can, but he can't? I mean, that's completely fucking
Exactly.
that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous and it's completely illogical.
Oh
However,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, Bray is one of those guys, man, to where when he was a cult leader, bro, everybody fucking loved this guy, and they just were like, nah, not feeling it. And they smacked his hand from the brass rings, bro,
Yeah.
and he would have never been the WWE champ because I feel like it took convincing to make him WWE champ in the first place. Come on, Vince,
Mm-hmm.
please. He'll just be a transitional champion to get the belt onto Randy. Oh, okay, fine, do it then. It makes sense
Yeah.
because we don't want to do because Cena wants to propose to Nikki at Mania, so we'll just do this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it
Exactly.
looked good on paper because the story called for it, but at the end of the day, like Wyatt just looked like a complete dumbass, and it made Harper look like the most intelligent guy for something that was so obvious. So you know how stupid
Mm-hmm.
that makes Bray look? You know what I mean? Harper's another one.
Exactly.
Grab the brass
Oh,
rings and he gets his hand smacked.
yep. People
Um,
loved fucking Harper.
oh
And of
god,
course, they
especially
still
during
do.
that Mania 33,
Oh man,
especially.
everybody wanted to be put in that match, man. 'Cause it only made sense, and he fucking deserved it, man. He really did, and they just didn't do it. That's fucked up, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. But last one, bro, last one. What would have happened with the Wyatt family? This is the biggest one for me.
Yeah, shit. I think eventually they would want to separate Braun Strowman and turn him into something like he was in that, in 2017 and 2018. I think eventually Vince would want to do something with Braun Strowman just because he's big with muscles. So I think eventually they would have separated Strowman, but for the rest of them, man, damn. I, to be honest, I think Eric Rowan, I think he's one of those people that Harper was saying, man, that he's too nice. He would sadly say yes to almost anything. So whatever they want him to do, he'll probably end up doing it, man. Whether he's staying with Wyatt or not, but with Harper, man, I think eventually he would just get tired of being Bray's lackey. I think he would just want to do something on his own. He would pitch ideas. They would say no. I think he would eventually leave still, man. I think that's honestly what would happen with Harper or with Brody Lee, man. With Rowan, I think he would have stayed easily, man, because like I just said, Harper said, he's too nice. He'll do whatever they want, man. He's too nice to say no. But with Wyatt, I think unless Harper leaves and then Braun's already gone, he won't. Will he ever need to abandon the cult leader and go into the Firefly Funhouse? I would think. I think he always low key wanted to. I think that was one of his end goals because he clearly had an ass idea from the fucking beginning.
And he
And
clearly knew that they were fucking up major
mhm,
with his original gimmick.
and I forgot who said. I remember I think it was Matt Hardy who said this on a Talk is
Uh,
Jericho. He said, I think it was Matt Hardy. He said that you always eventually get tired of your gimmick, even though if you love it, most of the time you get tired and you want to experiment. You want to try new things.
yeah.
I think at Hyatt was already in his mind experimenting with ideas of the Fiend and whatnot. So I think eventually he would turn into the Fiend with Eric Rowan, or not. Probably he would have to abandon Rowan for that role, sadly. But
He
I think,
was.
oh God, Eric Young, his ass, fucking Eli, man. Oh, I love Eli, but yeah, man. With Bray, I think eventually, just by circumstance, Braun would end up leaving, Harper
Mhm.
would end up leaving, and I think Wyatt would just wanna do that Funhouse and Fiend shit. So I think that's what eventually would happen. What do you think?
Yeah, just to run down the list, first and foremost, Braun obviously was their long-term experiment, similar to how Brendan Vink's going now. That's coming along great, ain't it? I haven't seen that motherfucker in weeks. But Brendan Vink is the new experiment, but Braun obviously being their long-term experiment would have definitely uh, broken it up. Well, not broken it up because this is what I think would have happened. This is what I genuinely think would have happened. And it happened before when it was just the three of them, Wyatt, Harper, Rowan. They would have split them up with no explanation. They would have been taken off
Hmm.
TV and came back, and Bray would have been a singles. Harper and Rowan probably would have been either doing nothing or just a random tag team or not even together and probably just working live events, not on television. And Braun would have left. I genuinely think that's what would have happened to the Wyatt family. Would have got no explanation for anything. But do I think Wyatt would have been the Fiend? Probably a little sooner, which is weird to think about.
Hmm.
Um, so that is a potential what if for a different day, man. But that's one of the interesting ones. Had that happen, would we have gotten the Fiend sooner? Who
I
knows,
think.
man? Who
Yeah.
knows? Is there anything else you
Mhm.
got to say, bro?
Yeah, actually, I think when and or if and when do you think John Cena would have got his 16th title reign?
Oh, uh,
Yeah.
shit.
Would he have even got a 16th, man?
100%, yeah.
I
He's
think,
Cena, yeah.
but would he? Because
Um,
he doesn't want a 17th, so would he even want a 16th?
which makes no sense because I think Ric Flair has more than 16 anyway. Well, I think he's gonna break it eventually. I definitely
Mhm.
think he's gonna break it. It would have been cool to see that kind of teased a little bit this year, but gotta
Mhm.
do Goldberg and Braun or Goldberg and Roman. Just gotta get that in there.
Just gotta.
Shit. Uh, yeah, but I don't know who he would have beat for it. Maybe they would have
Mhm.
got the title on AJ as a transitional champion.
Ooh, that's true.
Probably. That's probably my best guess at that, man. So what do you think?
I think probably eventually, but yeah, probably just someone random or just like a random summer thing. Probably nothing big.
Summerfest.
Oh my god. You'll be facing him at the Summerfest. SummerSlam. At SummerSlam. Fucking idiot.
At the Summerfest and Cena. SummerSlam. SummerSlam!
Fucking idiot.
Summerfest. Stupid ass.
I can swear. But I think probably eventually, but I don't think it would be nothing big because I don't know why, but Cena, he said he doesn't care for his 17th, so he probably wouldn't care too much for his 16th, especially if it would take place in like, if no brand split, probably like a 2018, 2019. He'd probably be really over it. So I would think probably, but not too big. It wouldn't be a big thing. So yeah, most definitely, man.
Yeah, any other ones you got?
Um, oh, do you think that that 10 or not 10, do you think that $1 billion deal for SmackDown would have ever been made with Fox?
God, no. God, no. Why were why are they gonna pay what? Why are they gonna pay $1 billion for a fucking tape show? And it's literally the
Hmm.
exact same thing as Raw. It was literally like the exact same thing as Raw, and you could use that to put your lower card and your mini feuds on there. But no, they just put people that nobody gave a fuck about, and the same thing that happened on Raw. So God no, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I think maybe a deal with Fox, but not nearly $1 billion deal. Probably just some generic, cheaper than Raw deal, just as a guarantee to get some views on your channel, man.
Yeah,
Or
unless Fox proposed it as like, listen, we'll give you the $1 billion, but you need to have exclusive people. on the show, meaning brand split. But as far as them paying for SmackDown how it was when it was taped and just making it live, fuck no. Fuck
God,
no.
I wouldn't pay $5 for that fucking show, man.
Shit.
Fuck.
I wouldn't watch it for free.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't. I don't watch it for free. So yeah. So yeah, man, definitely not.
I hate how they say like, "Oh, SmackDown ratings are good this week." Like, no, it's on Fox. The fucking people
Yeah,
probably wake up and SmackDown's on there like, "Oh, what the fuck is this shit?" and they turn it off.
yeah, exactly.
That's so like it's on a national channel. You understand that, right? Fucking the most
Exactly.
generic of that's the fucking that's the channel people have on for background noise. The news.
Fox is in fucking hotel rooms, so fucking random ass people just got it on because probably usually it's the only fucking thing on. So yeah,
Oh,
bro, it's
what's this?
fucking.
Look at the plexiglass. Let's watch.
Let's watch this shit. What the fuck happened to this company? Like, like, bro, God, swear, bro.
Yeah, man. Anything else?
Nah, man, I think that's it. I think that's it.
All right, bro. Anything else to say to the viewers?
Thank you guys for tuning in, and hope you guys enjoyed our what if scenarios, man.
Yeah, man, for
Definitely,
sure. I had a lot of fun creating these ones up, man.
most
That is
definitely.
gonna do it for this episode, man. Is I, Johnny Mayhem, here again with another live stream, bro. Another live stream in the books.
Most definitely, bro. Definitely.
Yeah, man. So again, is I, Johnny Mayhem.
Oh, and I always forget. I always forget this too, bro. I was retarded. Yeah, bro. I always forget this too, but yeah, this is Sir K.
And that is going to do it for episode 10 of part 1 of the Notorious Hills podcast, man. We will be joining you guys basically tomorrow since it's fucking 2 a.m. Chicago time, bro. We will basically be seeing you guys tomorrow for the news and the backlash predictions. That is going to do it for episode 10 of this podcast, part 1, episode 10, the what if scenarios. That is going to do it for this episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys on Friday with the news and backlash predictions.
Peace.